Hey guys, Kathy Iconis here with QBO Chat, and super duper excited to have Blake here. And Ryan on his team will be joining us shortly, but to talk about Jirav and learn all more about the app and everything like that. So, Blake, it's all you, man.
All right. Thanks so much, Kathy, for having us on QBO Chat. It's very exciting. This is the first time we've ever done this.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
Ryan has joined, so Kathy will be promoting Ryan to a panelist, and we'll get his video going here shortly.
We're up.
Ryan, Ryan McDonald, and I'll go ahead and start introducing you, Ryan. Ryan is our VP of Sales and Business Development. Hey, there you are. How
Hey,
you doing? And so Ryan is busy on calls basically all day long. I look at his calendar and I am completely overwhelmed because he talks to everybody. So if you're interested after this in learning more about Jirav and what it can do and seeing a demo for yourself one-on-one, or perhaps even signing up, Ryan's the guy you'll likely be talking to. I get a much easier job. I am Blake Oliver. I am the director of marketing here. So putting on webinars, running our blog, creating content, and a lot of events. We go to a lot of events. So we hope to see you this year. If you see the Jirav booth, please do stop by. So this is a Jirav demo, but I want to give you guys a little context before Ryan gets into the meat of things here. So what is Jirav? Well, you see a lot of giraffes in this picture, right? And as a marketing guy, as a CPA who went into marketing, I have to say that having a really great mascot for your firm or your business is awesome, because you never run out of stock image photography to use in your blog posts and whatnot. And it's a lot of fun. And you can see here that we like to have a lot of fun at Jirav, but there's a reason that we chose the giraffe as our mascot, as our logo. And that is because the giraffe is the tallest animal in the world. And that means it has a really, really good view of what's going on around it. It can see far in all directions. And we at Jirav want to help you and your clients see farther, see where they've been, understand what has happened with their financial and operational data, and then also project out into the future and see what is coming. And I went a little too fast here. We were honored by CPA Practice Advisor to receive their, the Accounting Innovation Award 2019 at the last Accounting and Finance Show, Los Angeles. So Jirav has been around for a few years now, but really just entered the market. Ryan, you came on board, when was it?
I came on board a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago. So basically, that was when Jirav started selling the product, and I joined in October. So we're young, we're having fun, and we're hoping to really make a difference in the world. And that's what I'm going to talk about now. So first, a bit of the status quo, right? The state of the accounting profession. Where are we now? This is informed a lot by my own experience as a bookkeeper. I started out as a music major in college, and then quickly realized that was a very bad idea and had to make some money to actually pay the rent and whatnot. And I got into bookkeeping. Musicians tend to be good with numbers and systems, and so I was really good with QuickBooks. And I became a QuickBooks Pro advisor, and then got into cloud with QuickBooks Online, with Xero, Bill.com, Gusto, all the apps, right? And that's why I'm happy to be talking to you, because I love, Kathy, what you are doing with QBO Chat and educating people about all the apps. And so we are one of those. Jirav integrates with QuickBooks Online, and what I have
And
seen,
zero. You don't have
and
to
Xero.
hide. You don't have to hide your zero background here.
Okay, good. All right. So I was an evangelist for Xero for a little bit before coming to Jirav. I built an online accounting practice. We had 200 clients. We had 12 people, really 6 full-time equivalents doing cloud bookkeeping before all those, Bench and BotKeeper and what all the really into Nero, all the really fancy VC-funded bookkeeping startups. We were one of the originals. So where am I going with this? I'm trying to say that what I focused on when I started my business about 10 years ago, before I sold it, was inputs, right? That's what cloud has allowed us to automate. We became way more efficient. I went from entering transactions manually to having bank feeds and bank rules that coded everything. 80% of my job I automated within 5 years. And that allowed us to do a whole lot more, but it was really all about the inputs. So the question is, what's next, right? Because inputs, our clients don't care about how long it takes us to do the work. It's great that we become more efficient, but to them in all this time, not that much has changed in terms of what we are giving them, the insights we're giving them. And everybody is talking in the profession, it seems like, about moving to advisory and figuring out how to offer more to our clients. And that's why I joined Jirav, because I think this is the solution that can do that. So now what are we going to talk about over the next 10 years? What is going to be the focus of the accounting profession? It's going to be working on optimizing our outputs, being more effective, not necessarily just more efficient. And this is what really allows us to, I think, charge more for the work that we do and create more value. So one way to think about moving up the value chain as a finance and accounting people is to look at this chart that Gartner has created. They have this really interesting model they call financial analytics maturity, and they say that there are 4 stages to that. And we can relate their 4 stages really to the work that we do as accountants. We have first, in the lower left, what happened, descriptive analytics. This is your typical bookkeeping engagement. This is probably what you are doing in your firm right now at a bare minimum. It means producing reports with numbers, your typical income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flows, and sending that to the client, which unfortunately, they don't often read. And so that's what takes us to the next level of financial analytics maturity, and that is diagnostic, which is working with your clients to figure out why did it happen. Understanding the answers to that is what really gets us into the accounting, the controllership type work, and we're offering our clients insight when we do that. The next step, the next stage in the journey is when we switch from historical information to looking into the future and asking, hey, what will happen? This is predictive analytics. This is forecasting. This is building out models that help us understand the business and see what is going to happen down the road. That's where we start to get into the CFO type services. And finally, at the very top, where we can create the most value for our clients, but it's also the hardest thing to do, is answering that question, how can we make it happen with prescriptive analytics? If we can answer those questions for people, if we can understand our clients' goals and figure out how to get them there, we can charge, honestly, whatever we want at that point, because we're basically giving them knowledge that they didn't even know they needed. Right? They want to get there, they don't know how, we're going to help them. And this is where I think financial modeling, as Ryan will show, offers a ton of value, because it actually is a way to prove out using accounting and math and finance where we think things are going to go based on certain actions in the business, such as hiring folks. So thank you for your patience with me as I laid the groundwork for these first 5-10 minutes, and I'm going to hand things over now to Ryan to talk about the Jirav solutions and how this ties in to helping you move up this value chain. Wherever you are on it, there is a Jirav solution that can help you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Blake. Appreciate it. And Kathy, as we go through this, feel free to ask any questions. More than happy to make this more of a collaborative kind of product overview as well.
Absolutely. I'll be bugging you.
All right, cool.
And I'm also manning questions over on the questions panel. I think Blake will help me too. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop those in. We'll make sure that those get answered.
Great.
Cool. So I'll hand the things over to you now, Ryan. Let's see if I can make you the presenter.
Good luck.
This is the moment of truth.
Yeah, it is. It's like, what?
On every webinar.
Yeah.
Will this work or not? Because I've been at Jirav for almost 5 months now, but I'm still a little bit nervous about doing a demo live for a big group of people.
Well, and it's always the demo, something's gonna go wrong, but we understand that. That's reality, it's life. We're all here for you.
It looks like it's working.
Yep.
Yep, should be working. You guys can see my screen, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We do.
All right, perfect. So I've logged into Giraffe, and you can log in with a single sign-on or username and password. So from an accountant's perspective, it's important that you can see everything in one place. You don't need to have multiple logins, and Giraffe gives you that capability. So this is a really good example of me logging in, being able to see multiple clients in one place. Also, if you think about it, within some firms, you have some clients that are serviced by certain individuals. So then you can create access points for different people within your firm. So they only see the clients that they manage, and then there might be a top level admin that can see all clients. We're going to log into Ryan Electronics today. Okay, so my screen is, not sure if you guys are seeing my screen or not, but it's just kind of, I might stop sharing my camera just to make sure my bandwidth is fully reserved for sharing.
Yeah, I think that should work.
Okay, cool. All right, perfect. Okay, so now I'm logged in. So there's three main components to Giraffe. Before we get started, if you think about what Blake was talking about earlier, one of the key things was being able to, first, how do we automate? A lot of times when we're talking to accounting partners that we work with, and it's all day long that we're on these calls, and it's part of it's like, hey, how do we just provide more of an effective deliverable for our clients without creating extra work for ourselves, right? Because we only have like so many hours that we can spend on each client each month. So Giraffe, we help automate a lot of the kind of outputs that you provide for your clients. We make them more effective through being able to first visualize the data, which this is a really good example that you're seeing on the dashboard here, and then also automate the reporting packages. And so we'll take a look at how do we automate those monthly reports, and then provide better context into certain KPIs. So it's not just financial data, but also bringing in non-financial data or different ratios into the metrics that you're sharing with your clients, so that you can start advising on those things that matter most to them. And then after that, a lot of times what we're hearing from accounting partners, and some are providing consulting work already, and they're doing high-level CFO services out of the gate, and they get into our budgeting and forecasting capabilities. But some people are trying to do the crawl, walk, run. It's like, let's first automate a lot of our outputs. Let's start getting into those conversations, and then the next step is to hey, let's work with you on your budget. And that's where Giraffe, since our platform, we're a financial modeling platform, not a reporting platform. So we are a financial modeling platform that does budgeting and forecasting, but we have reporting and dashboarding that goes with it. And about a year ago, our accounting partners asked us, hey, we do budgeting and forecasting for about 20% of our clients, but we need to automate reporting, and we want to provide better analytics for 100% of our clients. Could we just buy that piece for you? So we have a light version of our platform, which is just the dashboards and the reports. And then you can optionally upgrade somebody to plans to build up a budget or a forecast. So the light version we offer at a really low cost for our partners to start just getting automated the functions of the what happened today, so you can now talk about why it happened, and then when you're ready, you can upgrade to the ability to do planning and budgeting. Now, we also make things turnkey. So now imagine you have some key KPIs and metrics that you want to start advising a lot of your clients on, and you don't want to have to build that up for every client. So you can actually start with templates. So every time you roll out a new client, you have a code, a branded with your firm's logos and branding, right? Maybe you could even put in your customer's branding, but then it has the key KPIs. All you have to do to get started is just coming into the setup here and connecting to QuickBooks. That's the only thing that's required. And in less than 3 minutes, the entire system is set up. So we bring in the chart of accounts, we do all the mapping automatically, all the actuals comes in. So you can bring in to up to 10 years worth of actuals, historical data if you want. I see on average maybe 3 to 4 years. And then we also will bring in classes too. So if you're, if you're needing to report by class within the system, you can do that. And then optionally, you can bring in headcount data, right? And once you bring that data in, because you're bringing in the employee roster, you can now start seeing additional KPIs like what's my average revenue per employee, what's my profit per employee, right? Expense per employee. And these are other things that you might be tracking, right? And benchmarking against on an ongoing basis, and setting goals on to work with your client on kind of growing a more successful business.
No, I think
Um,
Gusto and ADP. What's like scroll down. What else do you got down there?
Yeah, so we're building out more integrations to some of these other payroll providers in the future. Right now, if we don't have an integration with it, we have a really easy import. So if you're using like QuickBooks Payroll, you can just import like via Excel the employee roster.
Cool.
Yep. And then optionally, think about like if you want to track and you're working, let's in this example, I might have this company is kind of like an e-commerce client business, and they want to track website visitors. So we also give you a template in Google Sheets that you can connect to, and you can pull in any other type of data. So you can just define like I want to track how many website visitors we have on a monthly basis, and then as soon as you update the Google Sheet with actuals, it'll automatically update in Jirav, and you just connect once and it's connected. Same with the accounting data, for example, like you connect once and that's all you have to do. You just set it and forget it, right? And then we just update automatically every day. Again, one of the best practices is to start with templates. So you can roll that out across, create standardization, quality control for what you want to share with your clients. And then also it helps as you're kind of guiding your internal team on what you want them to talk about with their clients. Like you make sure those KPIs are set on the dashboards and the reports. And so this is a really good example of, a dashboard that's set up. I've got a section, maybe I can add some commentary here. I'm showing certain ratios and like customer acquisition costs, along with financial data that we're tracking. Now, every time you roll this out, all these KPIs will be there. You just connect to the financial data. Let's say we want to add a new KPI. So we want to make it so it's not like, again, you don't have to know how to code. You don't have to spend a lot of time. We want to make it flexible for the end user to be able to add a new chart. So if I come in and I hit add new tile, this now allows me to define, okay, what do I want to name this chart? Let's say we're going to do operating expenses for a certain class, right? We're going to do it for G&A. So OpEx for G&A. Now I just point at the data. So again, this is all the data that's coming in from QuickBooks. So here's operating expenses. Now I'm pointing at the classes, G&A. I can drill down further to an account level. Again, this is just mirroring what you have in QuickBooks, so it should all be very familiar for you.
Can you select more than one account on that?
Yeah, we can set it up to where you can group accounts together.
Cool. Okay.
And then you select your time range. A lot of times you're going to do like a trailing 6 or 12-month tile. That way, every month it just updates, right? As we get into February, it'll look back to January. As you get into March, it'll look back to February. So that way you don't have to go in and update your tile every month, right? Your entire dashboard will just continue to roll forward. I'm just updating my dates because I'm connected to an old QuickBooks sandbox that I think only has expenses through a certain date, December of 2018. So now I can easily show here my actuals, and then maybe I also have a budget we want to compare to. All right, there's my actuals, there's my budget. I just charted that. Now maybe I want to look at this quarterly. I don't want to look at it monthly. All right, change that around. Save. So the idea is in about 5 clicks or less, you can chart anything in Jirav. You saw I had a little error pop up there because we give you a limit of 10 charts per dashboard, and you can create multiple dashboards. I mean, sorry, not 10, 20 charts per dashboard. So I've already have 20 on this one, but if I wanted to create different views, right, I might have a view for a certain group of people, like my board. I have investors that I need to report to. And now I can share this out just with the board. Right? Maybe I have a group set up, or maybe I want to now share it with Martin. Come review, board, dashboard, share. Now Martin's invited in. I set him as a view only user. I don't want him to change anything, but this data updates in real time and they can see this in real time. And he only is going to see this one dashboard. So I can choose and restrict access from different views that I set up for the customer. So sometimes I see like an accountant's view and then a customer view dashboard. So any questions there?
I don't see anything new, and I was like, first you said limit to 20. At first you said limit to 10. I'm like, I'm fine with limit to 10 too, but
Yeah, limit to 20. So it's a limit to 20. So
yeah,
this is a pretty extensive because my demo database. I've got a lot
yeah,
of KPIs I've already generated. So you can delete out and change things around. So now I've got 19 on this dashboard. But yeah, you get a
can you
limit.
make them bigger, or are they all
So like
fixed?
this, yeah, this tile is bigger here. There's about 3 or 4 different sizes that you have.
Okay,
And then the system is all kind of reactive to make it a lot easier to use and fit everything into the screen. So as you build up tiles, like if it's a 6-month tile, it'll be a certain size and fit in
right.
and organize for you automatically. So it's about quickness and ease of use, because there is a fine line between customization, flexibility, and ease of use and efficiency. So we try to make that take all that into account when we're for our users.
Yeah, and I usually recommend when you're showing something to clients to make it like as simple and direct as possible, because I mean, obviously this is demo, but I mean, this is something more that we would potentially look at to analyze what's going on and then give the client something, which is great. You have that other board. Be like, here, he's exactly what you wanted to look at, not all the other stuff.
Yep, exactly. And so that's when we bring on new partners. Typically, what we do is we help them build up. We'll work with them on, hey, what do you want them to look at? Building up a new dashboard takes minutes, right? So it's about just adding those KPIs and then creating that as your template. So now you can roll that out across hundreds of accounts at once if you want. Or as you bring on new clients, you just say apply the template that I have.
Awesome.
And then you can add commentary, or you can also engage with your client, right? And they can reply back, get notified when you add comments, right? Okay, so I'm going to move to the report section. So a lot of times too, we have a lot of customers that come to us, and part of it again is like, let's start automating part of the just deliverables. So we're spending over an hour a month per customer putting our reports together, trying to include some visualization in there, just making it easier and a better deliverable. And so within Jirav, you can create report package templates that automates all that reporting for you. So now think about having like your monthly and quarterly report package templates in here. So as you come and you need to send out a report to a client, you just come into Jirav. So when you close the books, you hit publish. We'll now freeze that report. So you have your close period report, and then you can export that as a PDF, as a multi-tab Excel workbook, or you can share and invite them in like you did to the dashboard. And then within the reports, you'll see I've got a disclaimer page. I've got a section for my business KPIs, like this is dropping in a view of that dashboard, now to be included into the report package. And then I've got a couple of slices of my income statement here on the left. You can see I've got a concept of an exec summary, right? So executive summaries are very helpful. Again, we want to help our clients just like you mentioned, right? Just look at the information that's more simplified. We don't need to throw over an entire like income statement and balance sheet and cash flow statement. We do need to include those as part of the report package, but it would be great if we could then maybe just include like some key KPIs like growth rates, or I've got a lot of different KPIs I've dropped into here. Like maybe it's just cash, change in cash and cash on hand, right, every month. Maybe they care about website visitors, so I drop that in too. And then we summarize the income statement. right? You can save this template. So now the hierarchy is saved. So now whenever I come back to that template, now we have that template view saved. I don't have to go and reformat the report every month. And again, part of my workflow now is just coming in, exporting this as a PDF or Excel workbook and emailing it to my client, or sharing and inviting them into the app to see it.
Yeah, so to be clear, I know there was a question, I think Blake took care of it, of that, you know, when we share, you can share specific things with clients, so they would actually come into the app, but maybe not make changes to anything. They just view it live in the cloud, right?
That's correct. Yes, you can set it up to where you have different ways you can permission for users. So a lot of times we see people just say, hey, come in and just view the information, don't edit. They cannot edit anything. But if you wanted to, you could give them access to edit if you want.
Which then, yeah, gives them that live view instead of us having to constantly update some report that we send to them about whatever.
Now you could give them the live view
Uh-huh.
without editing as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. So this is just here's now an income statement that like in my summarized income statement, you'll see that I've just collapsed all the hierarchies for sales, COGS, and OPEX here. But we're comparing it to our budget that we built into the system. So just a good example of how you can do your variance analysis within the tool. And again, this should be pretty straightforward, but the idea is that you can now customize, create, right, bring in more KPIs, the ones that you want to present, combine that with your visualization, make it so now that you're automating that what happened. So every month, it's really just a click of a button or a share. So the reports are there. And then it's more about, let's get on a phone call and let's talk to our client about what's happening within the solution. We've got another question that's come in. What are the different data sources Giraffe can connect to? I can see Gusto ADP. Can it connect with others to bring in operational data? So to answer your question there, one of the ways that you can do that is really that Google Sheet today is helpful because you can define all your different operational data. So website visitors, right, was a good example that I pointed out earlier. And I have reported that on or brought that information into my executive summary to follow. But yeah, you can use that Google Sheet to really collect any other operational data to be reported on in the system. And that'll come in real time. And then if I scroll back, you can see here is my website visitor traffic. We will be building out more and more integrations. So there'll be additional systems that we start connecting to, but the Google Sheet is a very good way to do like catch all because it connects directly to our system for any other data.
And then we can do things like have a Zap that automatically puts stuff into that Google Sheet.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, there's like Zap brings data from so many different sources into
Right.
Zap into Google Sheets. So that's a way that a lot of our clients will leverage that today.
Now, up on the top of the screen, it was like edit column and edit row.
Yeah. So
Can you show
edit
us like what all we can do there?
Sure. Like if I want to, if I want to look at this, let's say months and quarters, there's different ways you might want to review the data, right? So this is now going to do that monthly report that we saw, but it's also going to roll it up quarterly for us.
Hmm.
And then for rows, this allows me to add new, I can delete out different data that I don't want to show, or I could say, I really want to also add in a specific KPI. I want to show margins. Or let's just get gross margin.
So the other question came in, it's like if you make a transaction in QBO, how long does it take to get in to this report? Is it y'all's calls like 5 minutes or?
You can be, so if you're making updates in QBO,
Uh-huh.
by default, our system just is going to reflect information every day, like
Okay.
pull once a day. But if you wanted to, say you make a big transaction, this happens a lot, especially towards the end of the month as you're closing out the books, you can go back to setup and just hit the button and it'll refresh immediately.
Hit just
So
the connect button? Or
yeah,
well, if it's already connected, it'll look different, right?
yeah, it'll say import. So you just click the
Okay.
import and it just refreshes right away. So you
Okay.
can pull data anytime during the day. By default, we automatically pull once a day.
Cool.
Yep.
It's a great question because we never, yeah, most people, when we're in an app, we're like, oh, when's the last time it came over?
Yeah, and then also within that screen that you saw there, you can, sorry, I don't mean to hop around too much, but let's
I'm
go back.
making you.
Yeah, let's go back to that screen. And here you can see if I hover over, it'll tell you exactly when the last time the data was synced.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions about reporting? So you can see how we've added rows. There's some formatting you can do on the variances. You can have it show favorable or unfavorable colors. You can do budget versus actuals. You can drop in operational data as well as financial data into one report. You can also drop in balance sheet data, combine that with income statement data in one report too. So again, it's kind of what we've seen as best practices. Make it easy for the customers to your clients to understand their business data. So that's why we have like this exec summary example where you might just summarize the main things that they care about with a summary of the income statement, and then provide them with their three-way financials as well.
And you can put in, I'm assuming, notes and text and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then there's sections here where you can put in, yes, you can put in notes. There's a notes page that I've got set up. You can also
Uh-huh.
do commentary within the app here. And then you've got a notes page. It's for like inputting text.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you have multiple templates too, right? So the sharing goes similar to how we were doing the dashboard. If I want to share out one template with a group with one person, but share out another template with somebody else, I can do that.
And I would say to people that are looking at this, if you're feeling overwhelmed with all of the options, it's part of the demo is to show you everything that you can do. But yeah, once you get into it, it is, it can be as simple as you want it to be.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So a lot of times when you come in, you automatically have like a monthly report package, an annual report package automatically created for you. And we create those based off of like best practices that we've seen
Right.
with our accounting partners. And then you also have a best practice dashboard set up. So really you come in, you connect, and you're gonna get like the best practice report packages and dashboard KPIs that we've seen kind of aggregated through the accounting partners that we work with. So you're not starting from a blank slate. Yeah.
Right. So you have a great starting point to go off of, and then you can customize whatever you need.
Yep. Exactly.
It's awesome.
All right. So any other questions about reporting dashboards before I move into the budgeting
You
piece?
had said at some point that you can group accounts together. I don't know
Yeah.
if that was in here or not.
Yeah. So we got a couple different ways we can group accounts together. One of the ways, like there's two areas you can do it in. So one of the ways, like in my rows here, the exec summary, just look at one of the examples. You can see on, let's say, operating expenses, like I've grouped together all of my staffing costs, so professional services, payroll related, and contractors, and that's all just rolling into staffing.
Okay.
Drop in something, I could choose another one to club in with those if I want. So that does it on the report level. Now, say you want to create because a lot of times like QuickBooks is set up for more like accounting, or sorry, for like tax purposes. I see that a lot. But for reporting purposes, you want to create more of a management kind of chart of accounts to report on.
Right.
So in our system, in our setup section here, when we first sync up with QuickBooks, we automatically mirror what you have in QuickBooks. So there's no additional setup, but we do give you the option to say manage manually, and manage manually then allows you to start changing around the way that your chart of accounts looks. So in your case, you might want to say, you know what, I don't need to have like a bunch of cash accounts showing on my balance sheet. I just want to group these all together, right? Now that saves that. So now anywhere, and I can delete these out. Now anywhere within my application on the balance sheet, I'll just see cash, and then all the actuals flow into that one cash group. They're all grouped together. You can even restructure. You can add in different accounts or restructure, make new parent accounts, so you can change hierarchies around if you'd like to. So there's a lot of flexibility within the tool on how you can group accounts together or restructure your chart of accounts without changing anything in QuickBooks.
Right. Yeah, I recently was working on like learning some of the zero stuff. I'm still QBO, but learning some of the zero stuff, and how it's interesting how like you can on their reports move stuff around. So you have kind of that functionality over here. Whereas in QBO, we have to just group things based on account numbers or sub accounts and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now I'm going to move on to plans. So
Yeah,
we're going
let's
to
see it.
take a look at a budget, forecast, and draft. So first of all, it all starts with managing your plan. And what's great is that in Giraffe, you can have multiple plans running. So, you might just need one budget for a customer, or you might, like for some other clients, they might want to know, hey, I want a budget and a forecast. So you could have a budget and a forecast in the system running at the same time. And then you can reference those in your reports. And you could show budget versus actuals and what's a budget versus a forecast if you want. I'm just going to start with the budget example today. Keep it pretty simple here. As far as if I was doing an annual budget and I'm on a calendar year, my forecast start date would actually be January. In that case, my end date would be December. And then you see I've got an actuals start here. This actual start is really meant for referencing like historical data to create a budget off of. So I know that I just want to reference last year's data. So I said, look back, to 2017 for my budget, to use that to calculate out my numbers for my next year's budget. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to go to operating expenses here. Just going to start with, let's just create a budget for certain expenses within our plan. And I can switch between class. So think about like if you are working with nonprofits, right? They all need to report and budget on like a different program or grant that they're taking money, that they're getting money from, so they can report back for that budget. It's required. In our system, you can set those, you can budget by class, which typically is your grant or the different programs that you're working with. For larger companies, they use classes as departments, or there's lots of different functions of like the use case for classes. So that's basically, I'm just pointing at my class here. So let's look at R&D. Now, right now we're just looking at actuals. If I scroll further over, remember I set that start date for my planning period to be in February. So now you can clearly see, okay, everything to the right in blue is my planning period. And let's say I want to create a budget for some payroll related expenses. Okay, and Employee benefits. We already have a plan for employer taxes. Let's do something. Let's create a budget for employee benefits. So we could just plug in numbers to these blue cells manually, or you might say, hey, you know, our plan for employee benefits, it's really, we give, our cost is about $400 a employee for benefits a year or a month.
Mhm.
Okay. So you add driver. So this is a calculation that you're creating. Right? So we remove the need to know how to do calculations in Excel, right? So we make this more in a human readable format. So now you know, okay, for employee benefits, my calculation is going to be number of employees times $400 a month. So we click, now back to that same look and feel to where when we were adding a chart, now you just point, since we're connected to the headcount data from your payroll system, we can say number of employees. You know, let's say it's for R&D because I'm budgeting for a certain department right now. Save, and it's going to be times constant, and we say it's $400 a month, so we can type in 400. All right, now Giraffe does that calculation for you. It automatically sets your budget for your employee benefits for the entire year, or 2 years, or 5 years, for however far out you're planning. So now if you see the table, there's that calculation that's for your budget. And it's interesting, right? So it's not just a flat budget. You can see it's actually growing. So you're planning to hire more people at a certain point, which brings me to my next point is, so you can create budgets off of last year's data easily, or, you know, doing that for a growing company doesn't always make sense because some of your benefits are actually a function of headcount and salaries. So in Giraffe, we take that into account. So now if you say, hey, we're going to actually be hiring people like halfway through the year, and we want to know, like incorporate that into our budget, well, you just build up the calculation like we did. Everything in black and white are your current hires. Then you could say, oh, let's add a staff. We're hiring a salesperson. TBD on who it's going to be, but we're going to hire them in May. We'll pay them $60,000. We'll also mark that they're quota bearing. So by doing that, the entire budget or forecast will update. Your salaries updates, number of employees updates in May, your forecast for employee benefits goes up by $400 because that was your calculation. Employer taxes updates, right? Also, I have a revenue forecast that looks at like quotas for salespeople. So my revenue forecast will update. So it's all this dependency-based model. And what's really even better is that we also tie out your balance sheet and your statement of cash flow automatically for you in your forecast or on your budget. So you don't need to maintain that. Our system does all the math and it's all done for you. So you just think through what are the assumptions of this business, and then you have a full forward-looking pro forma, you know, financials built out for your client. So you can see where cash is at any time. What's that burn rate look like? How much cash are we going to be spending on a monthly basis once we hire these people, or we go and purchase this capital asset with this amortization period, right? So we can do all that within our system automatically for you.
So it's not just P&L budgeting.
No,
Yeah,
this is,
because you just brought in the balance sheet.
yeah, we do the full pro forma balance
Sweet.
sheet and statement of cash flow. We tie that out, so you don't need to maintain that.
Right, that's awesome.
Yep.
So when you were going back to on like the expenses side of things, you had a driver, but there was also another option underneath. I forgot. I don't know if that was a clone or.
Yeah, let's go take a look at that. So we were looking at the driver that I had created, which is our and payroll related expenses,
Right.
and that was employee benefits. So this is just, it all rolls up to employee benefits, but I can also say, you know what? We've got another cost coming in March, and we're just gonna kind of tag this to employee benefits, and it's going to be $5,000
Mm-hmm.
save. So these are additive. So this is going to take that 2K that's forecasted, it's going to add 5K to it. And so now our total for our forecast or for our budget for March is going to be 7. So they all add up together. And
So,
you could create another calculation that goes with that. So you could have more than one calculation to drive the output.
so, now I'm just going into personal needs here. Because I have a budget for a client that we got into Google spreadsheets so that they can actually look at it now. But think about like software that we have like 10 software subscriptions. Can you have that as a thing underneath that rolls up?
Yeah, exactly. So you could create, and I could even name, like,
So
actually
then
let's
I could
go.
like delete the line if they just cancel that subscription or whatever.
Yep, exactly. So if
Oh,
I go to, like technology related expenses here,
yeah. That's the
uh,
one. It's like, well, we have, these 50 subscriptions and that's our budget, but can't we just see it by vendor? And I'm like, oh, yeah.
yeah. So here's our software maintenance support, subscriptions, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So
Right.
you can add in sub items, which you can
That's what
actually,
it is. Yeah.
right, or you could just add in multiple drivers and name the drivers off of each. Um, right, so I could just say, for this one, it is, well, let's just say, my licensing is total head count, and this is going to be for our Microsoft Office
Hmm.
subscription, which is
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
$250 a month. Okay, name the driver, uh, Microsoft subscription or whatever, and then name that guy.
You're fine.
Yeah,
Like,
close.
don't worry about the words.
Yeah.
We care
So
about numbers.
yeah, no problem. So then you can create those different drivers for the different subscriptions. And what's great is that now think about, you go and hire another person, it'll automatically know that, oh, well, we need to also apply all these different software subscriptions for for that new hire.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we had a question that comes in. Does Giraffe automatically generate a forecast based on historical data and variances, or do we have to create it manually as you showed?
Um, so you can create a forecast based off of your historicals. Yeah.
Yeah, so you just start it off of that and then you can start adjusting it if you need to from there. So if
Yeah.
the
So
company doesn't have any historical data, then then you're gonna have to probably create something.
yeah. So a lot of times, like if you're just going to start with a budget off of like historical data, you can just do that.
Which is the way that I usually do it, anyways, is yeah, you start with that last year and then just start going crazy on making changes based off of different assumptions and blah blah blah. So what
And that's how
happens? Oh,
I
go
was
ahead.
going to add, that's how most of the budgeting and forecasting solutions out there work is you say, oh, I'm going to increase revenue 5%.
Yeah,
These expenses are going to go up X%, which is great. And that's a great starting point. But like in the end, what really drives activity is not some arbitrary percentage increase. It's
right.
how many people you hire, right? How many new
Marketing
customers you get,
efforts. Yeah,
marketing, how much you're going to spend on ads, right? So
yeah,
you can kind of you can easily set those up, and Ryan can, it's just serious. There's like a percentage increase option, and you can do that. But and it
Yeah.
might be worth doing that to start, and then creating a more sophisticated scenario and comparing them.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
So
also like when I go and create a budget, the first one it's like, oh, okay, do we end up with positive or negative like income, whatever, at the end of the day? Because either it's like gonna flop or okay, what do we need to start adjusting, making this thing work?
Yep.
exactly. Yeah. And so, and there's multiple ways to look at it, right? Again, if you just want to start with last year's, that's a good starting point. But then, the power within the tool is that we now give you the flexibility to really do anything within the system as well. So you can start, like we've got some companies that use us just to do like a simple budget versus actuals for like sandwich shops. And then we've got some companies that are going to use us to create a 10-year forecast and raise $50 million in funding. So it's what's great is that you're not going to hit a limit, right? Based off all your different customers, there's so many different businesses that are out there that having a tool that gives you the flexibility to create a model for really anything is good, because with other solutions you're basically put in a box, and this is like, oh, this is the type of way that you have to budget, and that doesn't work for every client.
Right.
So that's one of the advantages with Giraffe, is that you can also forecast on the operational data that you have, and use the operational data to drive other parts of your forecast or your budget.
So I'm curious, what happens when we've completed February 2018? How does that process work?
So you want to roll your forecast forward or your budget forward?
If that's what that's called.
Yeah, so you want to show like, so you completed February,
Uh-huh.
right? So you could, let's go back here. So in the reports here, let's use this income statement. So in our income statement, you've completed February, you'll be able to clearly see like, where's that? Right now I'm looking at it quarterly, so let's edit and say, show me months.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm doing actuals versus budget. So that's comparing to that budget that we were creating. So you can see in February, there's my variance analysis, our actuals versus our budget.
They didn't hit budget.
What'd you say?
They
Yeah,
didn't hit budget. They have some issues going on here.
yeah,
But
yep, definitely. We've got issues.
so then can the February 18 then turn into the actuals on the
Yes,
budget
yep,
report? Okay.
yep. And so that's what I would call rolling your forecast or your budget forward.
Okay.
So how do you do that? You just come back into this tab here, where you go to manage plans,
Uh-huh.
and you change the date. So I will now, internet's running a little slow. I'll change our forecast start date from February
To March.
to March. That rolls the actuals through February. Also, if you had some calculations that were referencing like last month's actuals or the trailing 3 months, right? It'll also recalculate out like so you could have a rolling forecast going based off of the new actuals that you pulled in. But yeah, if you wanted to just bring your actuals through, you would just change the date to March, hit
Mhm.
save, and then that'll automatically update your full budget or forecast for that time period. That's how you do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And again, we're syncing
I
up
don't
with
see
your.
any new questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if anyone, we only have a few minutes left, so if you have any more questions, get those in so we can answer them.
Yeah, and before we run out of time, I want to invite everyone to our first product update webinar in March. I'm going to paste we've got our VP of Services and Support, Evan Wells, and our Senior Manager of Support, Roxy McHarg, are going to do a product update webinar on one of our new features coming out. So if you want to get another look and see like the newest stuff, this is going to be a good webinar to attend. So that's going in the chat right now.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
So what are some of the craziest use cases you guys have for this?
I'll tell. Well,
Whoever wants to answer it.
well,
Yeah.
to be honest, one of the coolest things that I found out when I joined is that a lot of startups in the Bay Area, because Jirav is San Francisco based, use Jirav, and they do it to build out their financial models so they can go out and raise millions of dollars from VCs. We've actually had a number of VCs come to us and say, I want my portfolio companies using Jirav because they saw it in action. And one of the coolest things you can do, this is the thing that will blow somebody's mind. It takes a lot of work to set this up, right? You got to build out your model, you got to make sure it's good. It takes time. You can create scenarios on the fly in a board meeting. So somebody might say,
Nice.
well, what happens if we decide to accelerate our expansion of the sales team and we're going to double our hiring plan? Normally, you'd have to say to that CEO or that board member, I can't, I have to get back to you in a week. I
Right.
got to go sit at home and play with Excel. And you can
Yeah.
actually go into that staffing plan, like Ryan showed you, and you can tweak, if you got it set up right, you could just tweak one driver to accelerate the hiring.
Hmm.
And you can create that scenario on the fly in the meeting. And that is what really makes people go crazy. And then they see the cash flow and the financial statements all update. Everything waterfalls through, right? All your
I'm like,
operating
how many times
expenses.
have I updated all of the spreadsheets and the
Yep,
flow? And
yep, yep.
cash flow is not working right. What's happening?
Yeah, so and Ryan may have another, example, a better example, but that to me and just in general is one of the coolest things is once you set it up, it really is easy to maintain.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So someone did ask, can you do multi-company reporting?
So,
Uh,
yeah, Ryan, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so yeah, definitely join our product updates, because we will be bringing in the ability to do consolidations here in the near future. So you'll be able to connect to multiple files, like you can connect to a Zero file, a QuickBooks file, and a NetSuite file, and roll that all into one report, consolidated. Yeah.
So yeah, the answer is not yet, but the functionality is there in that you saw that chart of accounts mapping.
Yeah,
So the technology is there. We just need to create another Jirav account that rolls
like
up
a layer.
multiple ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, a layer of that. So it's on the roadmap, and we know that's something that people really, really want, and that other solutions offer. So it's coming.
Yeah, and I'm like, if you have those VC companies, if they want to see their whole portfolio, I'm sure they
Yeah, they'd
care
love to
about
see
that.
the whole thing all in one place.
Yeah,
People have asked also about benchmarking. That is
yeah.
something that we will be able to offer once we have that built up. But right now it's single entity, uh, right? One Jirav account per accounting system.
Okay.
Yep.
Did we get this question about when you add a transaction in QBO, how long does it take to get into the report?
You got
We got
that.
that one? Okay, cool.
I think that was when you were adjusting your headset.
Yeah,
You guys know my sarcasm. I gotta do something, make you
I
guys laugh.
appreciate it, Kathy. Keep us honest.
So I don't see anything else coming on. Is Ryan, do you have any other little final things that we just have to know? Because I mean, right now I'm loving everything I see. And you saw like my shift, like I'm watching, and then like the light bulb moment, I'm like, okay, cool. Wait, what? What?
Yeah, and that was the same for me, right?
Nothing else. I think the idea is to, like, if you want to get started, you can reach out to our team. I think the best place is to take that crawl, walk, run approach. So identify like where the quick wins are at for your firm, and then like where draft can help add value, and that's where we start. And we try to keep it simple, and then build off of that, so you can get the quickest time to value.
Awesome.
Yep.
I might have to change. I might have to look at looking at switching that one client over where I have it on Google, and maybe I can share like my story of trying to starting off with you guys, figuring out what I'm doing, all of that stuff.
I'd love
Mhm.
to hear that too. And financial modeling is by nature just complex, right?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
are a few
So,
other questions that came through, guys. So
okay, cool.
pricing, yeah, so we've got accounted pricing, and we have different tiers for pricing too. Lori, I saw that. So if you want, we can provide you with a couple different tiers of pricing over email. Training and tools. So we have in-app help and certification that we provide for our clients, but then as accounting partners come on, we provide training for those partners. So part of that training is like training your team, and then giving you guides on like that you can reference. So publishing reports, editing tiles and rows. And then we have account management that's ongoing to help support you guys from there on out.
And you
Awesome.
can
And
follow up with us at info@jirav.com, JIRAV. for any questions you didn't get answered or anything you want to follow up on.
Well, and we're sharing everyone's registration info with you guys. Do you guys have plans to follow up with them on that, or?
That would be a
Yeah,
good idea, Kathy. I should probably do that.
we'll
Now I
send,
just signed you up for it. Like, damn it, I
Yep.
gotta go through all
No,
those emails.
that's good.
yeah,
We'll
follow
send
up.
an email follow-up.
Mhm.
So you can just hit reply to that and
Yes,
send us a message.
that'll be awesome. Then ask questions about pricing and stuff.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Well,
Great.
thank you very much.
awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you all enjoyed, and we will have the recording available for you to watch again afterwards and up on the site later. For any of your friends that didn't see it, they can register and watch the recorded version. Too bad they didn't get to see the live one and ask the real questions, but we get the recorded one, right? Just
That's right.
pretty much the same. Anyways, thank you guys again for showing us Jirav, and I'm really excited about it. So,
Thanks for
a
having
lot.
us.
okay,
Bye.
guys, have a great one.
You too.